Hello, welcome back to Learn Oikonomia. Today we are going to discuss a very novel topic but very important topic. This is called the economics consequent assessment modeling. It's a kind of modeling technique that we are considering here. Let's see what it is meant by the economics consequence assessment model, or this is also known as ECAM. Let's discuss the very same here. Coming to ECAM, we can understand that ECAM would involve a kind of measuring the indirect economic effects. So it could be identified as a tool, or it is a kind of a technique which could be considered as a methodology in order to deal with the indirect economic effect. So we are specifically focusing on indirect effect as far as the ECAM is concerned. So what are these indirect effects all about? The indirect effect would be something that would be capturing the changes to the economic activity. So what can be the different aspect which would be changing the economic activity? The GDP of a nation would comprise of the consumption expenditure, the investment expenditure, the government expenditure, as well as the net exports. So all these are very, very important as far as the GDP of the nation is concerned. Now, these components of GDP would get affected as a result of several aspects in the economy. For example, let's consider the business revenue. What will happen if there is a fall in the business revenue, or what will happen if there is a loss in this particular situation? Just think about the household income. We see that consumption expenditure is a part of GDP. So when the income of the household increases, this will be reducing the consumption of the individual. Why? Because we know that the consumption here is a function of income, and also it is a positive function of income. When your income increases, your usual consumption would also be increasing, and vice versa. You can also think about a recessionary phase in the economy that would be leading to something like employment losses. Job loss means yesterday you were having a job but today you are not having a job, and that would create again a falling income, which would again lead to a reduction in consumption expenditure, which would also be considered under the economic consequence modeling, which would be taken taking into consideration the effects that is specifically the indirect economic effects. Let me take you to the details here. So in certain cases, the money value or the currency value, we can consider it in terms of the dollar value or rupee value of the indirect effects, might be larger than that of the direct effects. For example, in certain cases, you can see that certain important aspects like a calamity would be having some direct effects, and also it would be having certain indirect effects, and certain indirect effect might not be, this indirect effect might not be identified altogether. This might be gone as invisible in certain cases. So here we are considering the visible effect of indirect effect. We are making the indirect effect visible by going for the ECAM method. So we are considering a computable general equilibrium model. So computable means we can go for a quantification. We can attach a numerical value to this. So it's a general equilibrium model. What does it mean by general equilibrium model? It means that all the market would be attaining equilibrium simultaneously. And this is what is facilitating our indirect economic analysis. This is what is facilitating the way of looking into the indirect effects of economic activity or some other activity in the economy. Now, we can go for a country-wise data, or we can go for nation-wise data or international-wise data. We are going for country-wise data. This will help in comparison. You will be having the data on India, you will be having data on Sri Lanka, so that you can compare the case of India with Sri Lanka. So, what we can do here is that you can go for a primary research, And this primary research can be taken by considering a particular event. For example, take the case of a disaster. A disaster will be having lot of devastations, lot of loss, and this again would be having two effects. It will be having some direct effect like the loss of people, the loss of money, the loss of buildings, the loss of several aspects. Now it will be having certain indirect effect also, like the trauma that has been created, something related to the kind of yes, exactly. When it comes to the trauma means even after the disaster this would be persisting, and to an extent you can consider it as direct effect, but again it might be having some indirect effect, like those people who might be losing their near and dear ones would be suffering a lot. Again, just think about a person who lost his or her body parts like leg or hands in the disaster. So this person has become disabled as a result of disaster. So this would be the direct effect. The person's disability as a result of disaster is a direct effect. We can have indirect effect also. Let's consider his family members. The members of his family might be affected as a result of the disaster induced disability in the person, because this person who has become disabled might be the only earning member in that family. And what would happen as a result of the disability caused to this person as a result of the disaster? Now this person might not be able to go to work. This person no longer would be able to go to work, and that would definitely influence the whole family, which is an indirect effect here. So when we go for a disaster analysis, what we can do is that just go for the primary research. Primary research means you will be collecting data. You collect data from the field, and this is used as the main inputs, and using such inputs we can run the ECAM system or ECAM modeling. Now, as you could understand, when you consider a disaster, it will definitely have a lot of physical damage. You might be losing your house, your property might get damaged, and just calculate the amount of productive capital that has been damaged as a result of the disaster. If you are owning a factory, the factory might be damaged, the physical damage can be taken here. And also you can consider the share of population displaced. You can see that as a result of disaster, people might be displaced due to the regional effects, because disaster means it is not like the entire world would be affected all of a sudden simultaneously. Here we are focusing on a particular area. That means a particular region would get affected, and this is not the effect with respect to other regions, and for the very same reason the affected population might be displaced. Again, this can be taken into consideration in the case of ECAM. So this is not only taken in the case of the disasters, you can consider this in the case of pandemic situation, and this has been taken and made use of by the US economy by going for the past 18 years data. Not only the US economy is using this type of modeling, but also many other economies are using, but specifically and particularly the United States economy make use of the modeling method. And as I was telling you, you can use this method to quantify the economic effects. Okay, again specifically the indirect economic effect. And this is also used to quantify the value of the coastal ecosystem. So that means it has got some environmental use also. An application in the environmental arena is also being taken into consideration as far as the ECAM is concerned. So that's all about the ECAM. I hope you could get some understanding related to the way of considering ECAM, which will be taking care of the indirect effects of a particular event, especially of an economic activity or an environmental hazardous situation. So that's all for today. I request you to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more videos. You can also consider our Telegram community. You can join there for free. I'll be providing the link of the very same in the description box. You can also download the Oikonomia app For that also, I'll be providing the link in the description box. That's it. Thank you for watching.